Hello, guys, and welcome back to the WildTalk podcast with me, Dan, and our co host, Corey. How are you, mate? I've said it again. I always open it up like that, don't I? But yeah, why
Well,
are
you
you?
didn't actually ask me this time because we pretty much jumped straight into recording because somebody took the piss eating the tea.
Oh, yeah, me. Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. Fair enough. Yeah, fair play. You're all right, anyway.
You know what? Yeah, I'm doing all right actually. I'm a bit tired. Had a long day.
Oh, dear.
My new macro lens arrived this morning. My Sony 90mm G f2.8.
Ooh, yeah, I saw you post that on Instagram earlier.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
Nice lenses, that.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting out properly and I want to try and find some fungi or mushrooms or something and
Is
photograph that.
is that the lens that Mike and Chris use?
Of course it is.
Of course, has to be.
Mike and Chris wouldn't use anything else other than Sony original lenses.
Of course, well, yeah, of course. I saw their did they post their lens collection or something today? One of them did, didn't they?
It was a combination of them both.
I was gonna say,
There's a
but
few
yeah,
quids there, isn't there?
there is a fair few quid
You're
there.
right. Saying that, like the only lens that the only thing that I'm lacking that they don't have is the 400 f2.8.
And the ability
Um,
to take decent photos.
oh, piss off! That was better.
That
I
was
mean,
a low though,
I've
wasn't it?
got everything covered from 24mm to 600mm and everything in between. Um, I might get another 70 to 200 soon. The F4 version. I've got the F2.8. I won't mind the F4 just for weddings, just because I don't really want to be bringing the F2.8 out with me. It's a pricey lens and
But wouldn't the 2.8 be better for weddings?
yeah. See, I would only use it like on outdoor portrait shots and stuff like that, so I wouldn't necessarily need to stop down to F2.8.
True, I
And
guess
it's
2.8,
it's like
70 mil, yeah.
twice the price as the F4, brand new, and second hand like three times the price. So I'm just thinking, and for when I go to Finland next year, it'd be good to have a couple of different ones. I'm getting the A9 Mark II later on in the year. When that because they're bringing out the A9 Mark III in May, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be getting the A9 Mark II. I've currently got the A9, fantastic. I'm even going to get that one or the A7 R4. I ain't decided yet for when I get to Finland, so I can rock a few lenses on a couple of different bodies and mix things up a bit.
It'd be nice to run two bodies while you're out there.
Yeah, well, I think if you're going to go across to Finland and you're only going to take one combination of body and lens with you, you're an absolute idiot.
Yeah, it leaves you so limited, doesn't it? I guess to
It does. To me, it just screams that you're not going on the trip for photography. You're only going on the trip just to tell people that you're going to Finland. So why would you only take one body with you? It blows my mind how people can be so stupid. But I suppose not everybody's got the money or the common sense to earn two bodies anyway.
I feel like, are you hinting at somebody here?
No,
Because it
I'm
sounds
not going
like,
to say much else.
it sounds like you are weirdly hinting at somebody, and I don't know whether or not that somebody's me or
Well,
not.
you're not going to Finland, are you?
No, I'm not going to Finland. No, no, not going to Finland.
No.
I'm going
So,
abroad.
so why would I be hinting at you if you're not
I
going?
just thought maybe meant somebody else.
No, I was on about you. You fucking idiot.
Yeah, fair play. No, I'm not. I'm not going to Finland. I'm not going to Finland at all.
Where are you going then?
Somewhere else. You can try all you want, mate. You can try all you want. But
I already know where you're going. I'm not.
yeah, I know. Oh, I know you do.
Are you going to Africa?
No, God, no.
No. Oh, are you going
There's no point guessing it because even if you say the right one, I'll say no.
Are you going to go issue Vladimir Putin's arrest warrant?
Would be quite fun.
Are you seeing that?
I can't say I have, mate. No, I've been there.
Today, the International Court of Crime, like the big boys court, has issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's going to
No,
end up one of two ways. So either
yep,
Putin's going to give up or he's going to fucking blow us all back to the Stone Ages.
yep. Well, no, I've been watching the horse racing today, to be honest. So, yep. Oh, controversial.
I don't watch horse racing. I used to put a bet on it, but every time I bet on a horse, it ended up tripping over and getting shot, so I stopped.
Well,
Every horse.
I flopped Cheltenham this year. I flopped Cheltenham massively.
I'm not into horse racing, to be fair, though. Like, I don't know. It's one of the sports that I'm just not really a big fan of.
Yeah,
I'd
I
rather
don't
watch
mind it.
golf.
Ooh, really?
Yeah,
I used to play golf.
I'm a working class bloke, and I like my working class sports like rugby league.
So
Like at the minute, I've
darts.
got Hull FC versus St Helens on the TV at the minute, and obviously I'm a huge Hull KR fan, so I want Hull FC to get demolished. Got beat 60-14 by Salford last week.
Jesus, that is a battery.
Leeds got beat last night by Castleford. That was a brilliant game. That was a real good game.
Oh, that'll be the Leeds Rhinos.
Leeds Rhinos, yeah.
Not the
Bradford
Leeds
Bulls out in the
United.
Super League. No, not Leeds United. I don't talk about that riffraff.
Oh, riffraff. We drew with Brighton anyway, and we got Wolves tomorrow. So yeah,
Oh yeah, it's on Sky that as well, isn't it?
see you all back in the championship.
I can't watch any football tomorrow.
How cool?
But,
Yeah. Do you have a species of the week this week?
oh fucking hell!
You forgot that, didn't you? Yeah, I thought so.
Pigeon. I have a pigeon.
A pigeon. Yeah, fair enough.
No, actually, I do have a species of the week. Obviously, while I've not been able to get out and stuff like that, I still managed to have a little wander on the park and stuff, and took a small wander on the park the other day, and I'm just sat photographing a couple of robins, and then out the corner of my eye, a little wood mouse comes in and out. And it was just so cute, and it was so brave, and watching it stand up on its back legs and stuff like that. For me, that was pretty cool. They only live for around 2 years maximum.
Pretty cool.
And yeah, they have big ears, and they are mostly nocturnal. However, they will very much get up and feed and stuff whenever they want to. So they're not really specific to a time. But the only reason why they come out of at night compared to day, is just more coverage from predators.
Awesome. Yeah, pretty cool, mate. Pretty cool. Good luck.
Apodemus sylvaticus. There you go.
There you go. Try saying that after you've had a pint. Talking of pints, I've got my beer of the week here, and it's just a Guinness.
It's Guinness.
It's St. Patrick's Day today, isn't it, when we're recording? So
true.
Just
Tell
a
you what,
Guinness.
I do have a song of the week. I haven't done that yet, but I've got a song of the week. A song that I've listened to tons. Well, which one do I choose? I've got two songs that I've listened to continuously this week because I love. First one is Anomalies by Fixian, absolute belter. And the second is Gasoline by I Prevail, absolute belters of songs.
So that yeah. Fair
If you look
enough.
at my Instagram stories, I always put a song on with whatever I post and stuff like that, and those two have appeared a few times.
That's pretty cool.
Well, I think I've waffled on long enough.
Yeah, that was really not that interesting, but
Before you introduce our guest,
Yes.
have you been up to much photography this week? Or have you got anything planned for the rest of the week?
no and no.
I'm off to photograph the goats this weekend.
No, it's Mother's Day weekend when we're recording this, so
Hell yeah.
not really doing much.
Yeah.
I might nip out on Saturday morning, but
I've been mugged off big time for Mother's Day
why?
because I bought Susie a present from the boys off Amazon.
Mm.
It's supposed to be from Swarovski,
Oh yeah.
whatever. And I thought it was going to be big. Like it's like I'm not. I know she's earwigging while she's in the bath, so I'm not going to fucking say too much. And I thought it was supposed to be like something that was like 12 inches long, and instead I was given something that was an inch long. Kind of like how Susie thought she was getting 12.
You stole that instantly from me because you
I
knew
knew
I
you
was
were
going to
gonna
say
say
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
But
feel
it's just like how you two met.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, the thing is, her birthday is next Saturday, so tough shit.
oh yeah,
She can have a cup of tea in bed and a card. I give her a child. That's all she needs.
pretty much the same for me. I bought my mum something. Thought it was going to be much larger than it is for the price. It's not. It's not
Well,
at all.
What do you buy her?
I can't say because I think she's literally like somewhere in the lower part of the house.
Well, you
Listening.
do live in the same house with your so that's not really a chance a million, that is it?
No, but I know she's probably listening.
Yeah, women have bloody ears like well, I don't know what his real good hearing. He's like a tawny owl.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool. All right, then. Well, I'm done talking. So
Oh yeah, finally, that's great. How do I segue into our guest? Because we always segue nicely in.
I asked you if you were going to Africa, and I know our guest was
Oh, I like that. I like that. I
on
was
an
going to
Africa
go
trip.
with we both started photography when we were young,
We
as did
did,
our guest.
we did, and our guest is still young.
Our guest is still young and has also been to Africa. So, on that note, I would like to introduce our guest of this episode, Mr. Brooke Haycock. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good to
And
hear.
yeah, just come back from school, now ready to do a bit of photography this weekend.
So I was baffled by this, and so was Dan. Obviously, you enlightened us. Please just explain to the people listening why you've only just come back from school at 8 o'clock.
So my school finishes quite late, and then there's also fixtures on Saturday, so it can be quite busy. It means I don't get to do too much photography, but we get quite nice holidays, so that's when I'm out and on the weekends.
It's not too bad. I mean, I would always thought going to private school would be very, I don't know, strict and tight, but I suppose you're probably going to get the best education out of all of us. I mean,
Oh
I'm going
yeah,
back to uni for the third time in September, and you'll still probably be more educated than me by the time you're 17.
I doubt that. I definitely doubt that.
What's your favourite subject?
Ooh, I quite like English, and right now we're doing poems on wildlife. Ted Hughes. I don't know if you know
Oh
him.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I did a few Ted Hughes poems back in school. See,
Yeah,
I never liked English. However, I got the best grade. I got A stars in it. Well, it's not A stars
oh
anymore, is
wow.
it? You've got like levels ones and twos and
There's
stuff
like
like that.
nines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I got A stars in English at school for somehow, and I didn't think I was that good at it. But I suppose it is our first language. How can we not be good at it?
Yeah.
And you're from Hull, Corey. You're still learning on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
What subjects are you at the most?
Oh, maths, physics,
Yeah.
chemistry.
Physics, I thought was interesting at some points. Chemistry, we used to do bloody titrations all the time, and they were just so boring.
Okay.
I didn't enjoy that. This is gonna sound real weird, but I don't talk to many school kids apart from my eldest son. But he doesn't study that sort of stuff. He's nearly 7, so it's like, what did
Yeah.
you do at school today? And we're like, oh, I kicked the ball around for 2 hours, and then
Like
Sounds
in the
fun.
sandpit.
sat and ate a pencil in class. I'm like,
It's definitely your kid.
my youngest son. I'm like, what did you do today? And he's just absolutely getting at the mouth and has no idea what I'm talking about. We drop him off at nursery and he's just like, bye, daddy, and then runs in screaming and starts causing absolute havoc. Comes home with a few bruises and cuts and then goes to sleep, living the life.
Sounds better than real life, does that?
Yeah, it does. It does sound all right, to be fair. But yeah, I
does.
don't want to talk about school kids much longer. So let's continue. So for those that don't know who you are, obviously I think you're quite a prolific figure on social media for a lot of people. I'd say prolific. You do quite well in that dirt. You've got a good follow. You've got more followers than me and Dan
Mm.
combined.
Well, I guess I've maybe a bit more time on social media than you spend, probably. So that might be why.
I don't know. Do you know what? I probably disagree. Me and Dan spend a lot of time on social media. People just don't like us.
Yeah. That's basically it. Yeah.
I'm just having a look at your profile, and I'm going to be honest. I've not had I see your images when they pop up, but I don't see everything. And
No.
the garden tree, the garden UK garden spider,
Oh, yeah.
the pale morph one. I thought that was a beautiful image.
Oh, thank you.
I also have the Instagram open, but my favorite's going to have to be the elephant that you've got pinned as one of your top posts, Brooke. It's just,
Thank you.
insane.
I really
absolutely
appreciate
insane.
that. We've actually just put that in the house. So I've just seen it today, which it looks quite nice. And
It's always nice, isn't it, to see your photos in print, especially on your own walls.
I'm a big
It is
lover
so
of
nice.
of the garden stuff, mate. Did you know the scientific name for the UK garden spider is Arrhenius diadementus?
I never knew that.
And they can deliver a nasty nip, and they come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, colours, and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
They're the most common. I think they're one of the most common outdoor spiders. They're really cool. So
Yeah.
I love macro. So do you just want to quickly tell people how you took that shot then for macro? Kind of
Well,
if you
I've
did any
this-
focus stacking or anything like that.
Yeah, it was quite a while back, but I haven't done too much macro. I do really want to get into it more this summer, but it was with a Sigma 105mm lens.
That's a banging lens.
It's a
absolutely.
banging lens.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
owned it when I was with Nikon, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah. And then I didn't have a flash at the time, so it was really hard. And I don't know how to stack images. And without a flash, it's pretty hard. But with the natural light, I think I made quite a nice shot.
You've done
But
really
I was
well.
about the only one out of a couple thousand.
You must have been about what F16 or something like that for that, I
Oh,
reckon.
yeah, you know what? You might be spot on there. I think it was F16.
It's a sweet spot for a lot of macro lenses. I mean, I was out and about in the garden just taking some photos of spiders, and I wanted to try focus stacking. So focus stacking is quite easy, to be fair.
Okay.
Once you do it once, do you have Photoshop?
No, I have Lightroom.
If you've got Lightroom, then you can get Photoshop for free on the Adobe Cloud.
Okay,
So
yeah, I think
install it and watch a couple of it. I'll send you a link actually later on for a guide
thank
that
you.
I learned to focus stack from. But with your focus stacking and stuff like that, it just allows you to open your aperture up a lot more, just get a really nice contrast with the background and get a bit of
Yeah.
bokeh and stuff like that. But to be fair, for considering that you've not focus stacked or anything like that, that's a brilliant image.
Thank you.
I'm not a fan of spiders, but I do quite like that image.
Do you know what? Obviously, I kept tarantulas and true spiders for years and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm still petrified of your common house spider.
Really?
I'm absolutely I bloody hell, I run a mile. Like I shouldn't be, and especially like given previous jobs and stuff like that, I shouldn't be. But yeah, they're just, I don't know, they just freak me out. But do you know what? I was starting off with asking a question, and then I got talking about your Instagram instead.
Yes.
Just tell us about who you are then. Obviously, me and Dan know who you are, but for people that listen, you are, just give a bit of information on yourself, where you're from, how old you are, because obviously the main reason why we've got you on is because you're such an age and stuff like that, and you're doing really well for yourself. So
thank you. So I'm a 15-year-old wildlife photographer, and I was first interested into wildlife when I was 11 years old, and that's when I saw my first barn owl, which really inspired me because they're just beautiful birds. And then there's some animals which you can just build relationships over time, and I think that was one of them. I'm based in East Sussex, and that's where I do most of my photography. But sometimes we'll go on some trips to like Africa and then Mole. And also, I do love raptors mainly. And I would love to be a wildlife photographer or like TV presenter when I'm older. But I mean, if that doesn't happen, it's just about the love of nature, which will stay with me forever. And that's what I'm grateful for.
yeah, as long as the love stays with you and stuff like that, like obviously the dream's there for a lot of people, and I think you've got a really good advantage given, I mean, you live on quite a big like lot of land, don't you?
Yeah, there's woodlands around our house, which is nice.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got a really good advantage to kind of get out there more and do it, and the trips that you do and stuff like that.
I'm grateful for that.
I mean, the quality of image that you're producing already for like a 50. I mean, when I was 15, my images looks like they just kind of come off a potato.
I can back you as well. Mine would, no way near.
So it is rare. I mean, I've got a lot of young photographers and stuff like that. Obviously, we do YouTube and stuff. I do get a lot of young photographers just drop me messages every now and again and stuff like that. Advice. I'm not always great at giving it. But I think out of all the young photographers that I know, this is like, I don't want to, if any young photographers are listening and I know you personally, I'm not saying you're a crap or anything like that because you're not, but I think your images definitely do stand out amongst a lot of them.
That's really kind.
I'm more jealous than anything. I think Dan's the same. When we were, I'm 25. Nearly 25. I've been doing this for a long time, and I still don't get him. I look at your Fox Cub images and stuff like that, and some of the opportunities that you've had have been brilliant. Well, you're albino grey squirrel.
That was amazing. Luckily, another local photographer actually told me about that, and then because they got told by a dog walker, so it can be a nice little community.
It's good to have. I photographed an albino Western Diamondback rattlesnake today.
Oh wow!
Which was slightly different, but
I've got an albino hedgehog. Photographed one of them before.
Oh, you know what? I saw that photo.
Rescue.
What did you say, Corey?
It don't count. You did it at a rescue.
Yeah, it's still wild animal, mate.
Yeah, I know. I don't really. I'm just winding you up and stuff.
Yeah,
so it's all good. Dan, you had a few questions lined up for Brooke. Do you want to go ahead and ask them?
I did. So my obvious question is sort of how did your sort of love for nature blur into photography? Like, where did that all start?
Yeah, well, I touched on it a bit, but from the very beginning, I'd say I think I was watching an episode of Autumn Watch, and it was something like red squirrels, which I just thought they were fascinating. So then I went out and put up some bird boxes and some peanuts for the squirrels. And then we started to get great spotted woodpeckers coming in. So I was photographing them like just from the kitchen, really. And then that's when I got my first little like bridge camera. And from that, it just kind of built it up. And then when you see more and more, like for bar now, you get more inspired and want to get good photos to remember the moment. And I think that's where it came from.
Yeah, I think that must be where me and you both started as well, Corey. I mean, I remember having a bridge camera to start with.
Yeah.
My first camera wasn't actually a bridge camera. Mine was
not?
a Canon 1100D with a 70 to 300mm lens.
Oh, that was my second camera that I got after that one.
I had that for a year, and then I used to photograph the rugby, so I used to go photograph Hull FC every now and again. And
Yeah.
then what did I get after that? Got a Nikon D3500 with a
Okay.
camera on 150 to 600.
Yeah.
Then moved across to Nikon and I had various Nikons, and then now I'm. What do you shoot with now? You're a Canon guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I got the Canon R6 and
Good
quite
lad.
recently I used to have the Sigma 60 to 600mm, but then I got the Canon 500mm f4, which the bokeh's
Dan
really
owns
nice.
that lens.
I do. Is that the Mark 1 or the Mark 2?
Mark II.
Yeah, cracking lens.
Yeah.
I don't have any big primes like that. I've got my 200 to 600 because I'm Sony now.
Yeah,
Sony, obviously, I think they're dominating the market with mirrorless at the
definitely.
minute. I mean, Canon are
100%.
producing the Z9. Obviously, my friend Robbie uses it, and it is a fantastic
Yeah.
camera. Canon, the R6 and stuff like that, fantastic cameras. But I think Sony's definitely storming the market massively.
Yeah.
So
That lens you have is amazing.
it's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. The 200 600.
Yeah.
It lives. I mean, I've got the 100 to 400 as well, which I tend to use for like if I go up to Mull, I use it for like the
Nice.
seagulls.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
use it for the ospreys when I go down to do the ospreys. And if I go for like a walk around the park and stuff like that, a lot of the woodland beds I can get close to, so I tend to use it for that because it's nice and sharp. Canon have got a 100 to 400, haven't they? Their own.
They have, yeah.
Yeah.
I would. Do you own it, Brooke?
I used to have it, the 100-400 Mark II, but then sold it because I just didn't think it was enough reach.
See, this is one thing you'll probably learn as you get older and stuff like that, I reckon. It's not always about having the biggest, like the 600 like primes and stuff like that. Sometimes the images that you can pull off with, I mean, I agree sometimes the 100 to 400 isn't enough, but there's been a lot of scenarios where the 200 600 probably would have been better, but you learn with technique and editing and stuff like that the 100 to 400 and that kind of lower end. Like when I had Nikon, I had the 300 PF and I had the 200 to 500 and stuff like that. And that 300 PF lived on my D850, even though it wasn't always the longest reach. I mean, Dan, you borrowed it. Was it you that borrowed it, Dan?
Yeah, I borrowed the 300 PF, but that was literally just for the ospreys. I mean, the way I sort of pick lenses these days is I look back to my old Nikon days. So like when I had the 150-600 and I sort of asked myself, what focal length did I use the most? Like, did I ever go less than 400? No. Did I go less than 500? Probably not. Very rare occasions where I had to drop that low. So I think that's what sort of swayed me towards the 500mm. Really, and the fact that and the price as well, because the 600 was like ridiculously priced, and 500.
If I wanted to go for the Sony big primes and stuff like that, I mean, for the 400 f2.8, you're looking 10 grand.
Yeah.
The 600 f4, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But Canon are no better, mate. You know, the new Canon lenses. You look at them. Some of them are up at 23 grand. It's big lenses, big money. That's normally how it goes.
That's a quarter of what my house is worth.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy, but yeah, no, the 100 to 400. Yeah, I can see why you sold it, Brooke. It's just sometimes not a great deal of reach. I mean, for them occasions where wildlife does come close to you, then yeah, it's probably great, but you got to ask yourself, how many times does wildlife come that close where sort of 400mm is decent?
I guess it's all about the situation. And let's say you have a lovely sunset and you're photographing mountain hares in the snow.
Mm.
I mean, that's when you want to include all the environment and it can be an incredible image, just like more wide angle. But it just depends on your style, I guess.
I've found as well that having the 500, there's no zoom, is there? So
No.
you are the zoom. You've got to move
Yeah.
forward and back.
Yeah.
I do find I'm working a lot harder for my images as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
No, you're
found
not.
that. Well, I'm putting more effort into them.
You're
Yeah.
visiting more paid hides.
Oh yeah, visiting more paid hides. But yeah, you seem to find. I certainly seem to find myself shifting, myself around the subject and around the environment, trying to,
Yeah.
squeeze the image, squeeze the subject into the shots rather than, if I had the 150-600, I could just stay fixed in the same position
Yeah.
and just zoom in and out.
It's very true. It's very true.
Just the downside is the weight. Trying to handhold the 500 for a day, you suddenly feel it.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm out with the 500 for a whole day after, I literally feel ill.
Yeah.
That's how tiring it can be.
I'd feel ill carrying that much money around as well.
Oh, it's the weight. Like when your hand. God, I don't know how the Mark II is built, but on the Mark One that I've got, the sweet spot to hold the lens where you'd want to, put your hand in the middle, roughly the middle of the lens, just happens to be the focus ring as well, which is really annoying because your hand automatically goes for that position. But as you're focusing, you could move your hand a millimeter and your focus has dropped out. So yeah, it's really annoying. But yeah, it does kill the arms. Really does.
Tell you what, this is rare. It's usually me sat chatting with a guest while Dan's in the background hidden away. But obviously,
well, that's because you're a Sony user, mate. You might as well just drop off now.
Yeah, I mean, I am more superior in every way, shape, and form.
Oh, damn it, that backfired.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I'm looking at my lens collection now, and I'm deeply impressed. Yeah, I am.
I've only got one. That's all I've got.
Have you really?
I've only got the 500mm.
Mate, that's appalling. That. How can you call yourself a wildlife photographer?
Because I've got an amazing group of friends who just lend me lenses.
Yeah, that used to be me.
Use them. Yeah, it did, yeah.
If you get yourself the Metaburns Sony to Canon adapter,
you're all right.
Yeah, they're supposed to be absolutely banging, to be fair.
Yeah, wow. But I just feel like you'd maybe lose some focus speed, surely.
If you get the Metaburns one, no. If you get it for the cheaper brands, then yeah.
How much is the Metabones one? I don't know.
About 300 quid.
You're all right. That's like 50% of the way to a 7200. That.
Yeah,
I never knew they had that.
Yeah, so because Canon and Sony, a lot of their technology is the same.
Yeah.
If you look at the lens wise, like the 100 to 400, that's copied kind of from Canon's version. A lot of the manufacturers, they all produce it, like the design and stuff like that between Canon and Sony lenses is so similar. They kind of teamed up and brought it out. You can't do it I don't think you can do it from Sony to Nikon or anything like that. But yeah, if I wanted to if I wanted to use Dan's 500mm lens, I could just get myself that adapter and I could borrow his 500mm lens and it work very well. Yeah, it's quite good, to be fair. I think there's some lenses that don't work. So I think Tamron maybe, because I know Tamron don't work on the Nikon Z stuff. Unless it's a mirrorless lens, they say Tamron, I don't know, 24mm wide angle, because I'm looking at mine now. If you try to put that on the Nikon's F to Z mount, they don't work. So there's certain limitations to it, I think, but generally, yeah, they're quite good. And it's because Sony and Canon are quite similar. If you look at the build and the quality of a lot of the lenses and bodies, they are fairly similar. Sony's still better though. So obviously, you said you came back from. How long ago was you in Africa?
That was in December, so just before Christmas, and we were there for a week. And the main focus really was lions, well, for me to photograph. And it was actually the last day where we got the big male lion, so that was really exciting.
I'd love to do an African safari. Are your parents into photography?
No, no, they're not.
Who did you go with then?
Well, we went with our grandparents. They very kindly took us for their birthday.
My grandparents took me to Burger King for their birthday. No, they didn't really. I'd love that. Was the lions the highlight of the trip then?
Ah, yeah. I mean, there was one moment when I could have literally put my hand out and touched one as it was walking past the vehicle, because the guide got us to a really good position where there was one old, very old cub and then the mother, and they just walked straight past us. And that's when I had my 70 millimeter. And that's when I really wish I had a more wide angle to really capture the scene.
Yeah.
I went to Lunga last year and photographed the puffins, and that's one thing I was missing
Oh,
out was a
wow.
wide angle.
Yeah.
So then Tamron do a nice cheap wide angle.
Yeah.
So I picked myself one up then.
So how close did you get to the puffins?
I was about 6 inches away. So on places like Lunga and Staff, obviously you've got a lot of skuas and stuff, and the terns and the other birds that'll try and take their food when they're flying in.
Yeah.
So they
They
don't
use
mind
the
people.
they use the humans, don't they, as like a shield
Yes.
almost.
Cheers, Dan. I was about to say that.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm just crowing at him.
But yeah, so but essentially, like Dan said, they're happy for us to be sat there as long as you don't push your boundaries. Like we sat there,
Yeah.
and we let them get used to us, and
Brilliant.
I'll try and edit this video in to when I'm editing the YouTube video together of
Okay.
there's like a video of me laid on the floor in like selfie mode with like 6 puffins all sat around my head and stuff
Wow.
like that.
That
It's
must just be
fantastic.
magical.
I mean, it wasn't as busy as it has been in recent years, given the fact that bird flu was quite. We went on the last day actually, and the next day they announced that they were closing because of bird flu. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
we got bloody and we booked on a complete impulse as well. Like we didn't. There was no. I think maybe the second day into the mole trip, we was like, do you know what? Right, let's just go. Let's do it. And it was really good.
Yeah.
Saw loads of ravens. We saw the black guillemots, which were really cool.
Oh, yeah. They're awesome.
Didn't see many gannets. Arctic skua kept flying past, which was fantastic to see. There was
Yeah,
like
lovely.
birds I always wanted to see. Have you been to Lunga and Stafford before?
No, I've been to more, but the puffins left before, so we couldn't get them. But I am going to Shetland in May, so I'm very exciting. It's going to be
Wow.
very exciting to photograph the puffins
Wow.
there.
You'll have to let us know how it is because I think me and Dan are
Yeah.
going to be doing that trip next year for the orca and stuff. Hopefully,
Yeah, I planned a trip. God, when was it? I planned a trip for last year, I think. Well, I say I planned it. I got the sort of plan done. I never got around to booking anything, but I was going to do a week on Unst, is it? Hermanus
Oh, yeah,
National
that's
Park.
it. That's where we're staying.
Yeah. So yeah, you'll have to let me know. You'll have to drop me
Definitely
the
will.
accommodation as well, mate, because I struggle to find places to
Yeah, I
stay.
will do. Yeah,
we're going to have a
staying
nice
at
romantic
a
trip away there
cottage.
next week, aren't we?
We are, mate. Absolutely.
Are we going for accommodation or are we just going to wild camp it or do a bit of both?
I want to do a bit of both. I certainly want to wild camp a few days, especially in sort of, I think it's July time. The sun, am I right in thinking the sun doesn't set in July? Or
I think, yeah,
it just
June.
dips below, doesn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah, I think there's like 3 hours of where the sun is not visible.
Because I've always wanted to because I've seen is it Ben Dalglish who lives up there now.
Fantastic
the
photographer.
work he's done with the puffins. I mean, Kev Morgan's as well. The stuff he's done with the puffins up there is, there's images that I dream of getting. So yeah, it'd be quite nice to spend the evenings, especially if the sun only dips below the horizon for 3 hours. It's practically sunset for like 3 hours until the sun comes back up. So
Yeah, it's true.
pretty cool.
So
Yeah.
we'll get some accommodation for the first end and the last end of the holiday, and then for like 2 nights in the middle, we'll wild camp it.
Yeah, I'm down for that, mate. Absolutely down for that.
Because I mean, I'm going to Finland next year, but I don't think there's much else on the schedule. So yeah, it'd be a good trip. I'll be driving back then, so you won't have to do all the driving.
We're going in your car.
I mean, if I own a car, and if I do, actually, to be fair, yours is a pile of crap as well with it. So.
Hey, mine in. I've got a new car, mate. So it's not.
Have you really? Oh, right, fair enough.
Do you think I've still got the silver car?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've
the,
not.
The Yaris you had.
The Igo, yeah, I've not got
Igo, that was it.
That died like a year ago. Well over a year ago.
What we should do is rather than, because it's a long way to go to drive all the way to John O'Groats and get the ferry, so we should break the trip and maybe visit Penny Hedge on the way and stuff like that.
Well, the route the route that I checked out was you drive to Aberdeen and then you get the ferry up to Lewick, and then it's just a series of ferries after that.
I think it'd be just easier and cheaper just to drive to John O'Groats to get the ferry from there.
Maybe, yeah, it could well be. But
It's an extra 3 hours driving, but
we'll plan it. We'll get it sorted. But yeah, it's definitely somewhere I want to go.
So you're going to Finland then this year?
I'm
Wait.
going next June.
Oh wow, to photograph the bears.
Yeah. So bears, hopefully some wolverines and actual wolves as well.
That would be
And
amazing.
then I'm gonna have a couple of you can kind of free worm around the place during the day and stuff like that. So the plan is to go looking for some of the birds of prey like the great grey owls and stuff like that.
That is so cool. I wouldn't want to bump into a bear in the middle of the forest, though.
No, I don't know how I'd actually react.
No.
Given that, but no, it'd be nice to do.
It sounds like an exciting trip, mate. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Oh, do you know what? Sod it. I'm announcing it. I'm going to Finland in May, guys.
Oh wow.
I knew you couldn't do it.
I couldn't. I can't do it any longer. I can't.
Oh,
Yes,
that's amazing.
So I was originally going to book with this certain company. I don't want to name one here or anything like that because it's not fair. But the company and then I started getting a load of reviews from people like, no, don't go with them. And then Dan told me who he was going with. Bear Photo, they're called.
Yeah, Bear.
Much cheaper, much better hides, loads of really good reviews. I've seen all the backlog of images and stuff like that. And yeah, I've ended up going to go with them instead.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty much looking forward to that. That's the only really big thing I'm doing this year, but yeah it's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
Oh, don't need to chat about us, Dan. We're not doing well here.
Despite them cancelling my sodding flight on my way home, I'm not happy about that.
They've cancelled your flight?
So they've cancelled my Helsinki back to the UK flight, yeah. So I've got to do a 16.5 hour overlay in Helsinki.
Oh, I suppose it's not too bad as well.
Well,
stuff.
You say it's not too bad when I say Helsinki. The airport is 20 kilometers outside of Helsinki, so I'm pretty much stuck at the airport hotel.
Get a train through?
Oh, God. No, because I don't land till like 10 o'clock at night. Oh, hang on. I don't think it's 10 o'clock at night. I think that's the other flight. Oh, well. Maybe I'll go into Helsinki and explore. I'm only there once, but...
We need to let's stop talking about us.
Yeah. It's becoming a very heavy. We might as well just kick you off now, Brooke. So another question I had.
Yeah.
So me and Corey both started photography. I'd like to say relatively young, maybe not as young as you, but
Yeah.
I know about the same age.
Were you about the same age? I might have just been little bit older because I'm older than you are, Corey. So
yeah.
The one thing that I found as a young person getting into it was a lot of negatives from maybe the older people that had been doing it for much longer.
Really?
Yeah, I did find that. I was just the main question is, did you or have you ever received any sort of negativity or backlash for from starting wildlife photography at such a young age?
No, not really. I guess there's some people who think they know it all about ethics and say you can't do this, you can't do that, you might be disturbing the owls. I know you're flushing something, and I'll just be like, no, you're not here, you don't know that. So I think there can be assumptions like that, people going, oh, you don't have good field craft. But overall, I don't think there's been much of that.
Well, that's quite good to see. Times have clearly shifted in the right direction.
It's not. It's because they're all still focused on you.
Yeah, they're also focused on me. We've got a running joke. Or I wish it was a joke, but more of a running statement that I'm probably one of the most hated wildlife photographers in. Do we say the country, Corey, or do we say?
I'd say England. Yeah, because there's a couple of people we hate in Scotland that are probably hated by a lot more people than what you are.
True.
But yeah, you're definitely in England.
Yeah,
I know. Well, you seem like a very nice guy. I don't know why people would hate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's because I have not an opinion, but when I see people,
he has an opinion on everything.
Maybe not everything, but when people are when I see people abusing other people, I have a zero tolerance personality. Let's put it that way.
For me, it's people lying. Bloody people lying, that does my train.
Yeah, and I think with the world of social media, it's easy. And I think we touched on this with Andy Green, didn't we, mate? it's so easy for people to deceive other people on how they obtain the shots. I think I see a lot of that these days. It could be like maybe an owl workshop or something, and they try to deceive the viewers that it's a wild animal. But yeah,
Yeah, I've seen that a lot, and I don't understand. Like, why would you lie about something being captive?
because it goes back to what we discussed on I think the previous episode about I can't remember what the episode name was now, Corey, but and I don't even think it was the previous episode, but it I think people just care or focus more on the likes than they do anything else. I think that's probably why they are a
Yeah,
little bit
I get that.
deceitful in how they obtain the shots.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like when people go to like a hedgehog rescue and photograph hedgehogs there and try and pull it off as a wildlife image.
Here we
For me,
go.
that's deceitful.
Is it deceitful, mate? Well, cry about it.
No, I'm only kidding with you. I'm only kidding. Yeah, I think moving away from negativity because we don't want to.
Absolutely.
We don't want it to be a negative one.
No. Of course not.
So I only had one real question. This is gonna sound bad because I didn't think of questions. We have plenty of questions that we want to ask you, but the one question I wanted to ask was I'm trying to think how I can word this without coming across offensive because it's not an offensive question. Obviously you had quite an upper class upbringing, I would say. I mean, you go to private school, you live on a lot of land. Do you reckon that is part of the reason why you're as good as photographer as you are?
I'd say
Obviously, being able to
brought
afford
up-
the gear and the trips and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
with the family and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that. If I had that money, my kids would go through the same stuff.
I think being brought up in the countryside definitely is a massive advantage, like being surrounded by woodlands. But I feel like from very young, like even 4 years old, I was always interested in like plants because my grandma would take me to look at the snails under her garden and all that sort of stuff. So I feel like it has always been in me. But yeah, definitely going on trips, it does help with seeing animals and being inspired.
Yeah. I mean, are your parents into wildlife, or do they just take you for this because you want to go?
Um, they're definitely starting to get more into wildlife. Like now, when I go on a walk, my mum will be like, "Oh, that's a nuthatch. That's a great spotted woodpecker by just for bird call." And so, yeah, I think they do definitely get interested because I like teach them a bit.
It's mad, isn't it? Because me and Dan always say that like you get your love from your parents and stuff, but obviously your parents are getting that love from their son, which is
It's like flipped on the head, and yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have one brother and one sister.
Are they older or younger?
My sister's older; she's at university, and my brother's in like year 12, so he's 17.
So a little bit older. And are they into it at all? Or
No, no, not
kind of like
really.
the odd duck in the family, then, aren't you?
Yeah, they don't really understand why I'll just sit out in the woods and get drenched in rain, but there you go.
There's nothing more. I love that. I think it's absolutely fantastic getting out in the
There's
woods.
there's nothing more peaceful than laying in the field, getting absolutely sodden, but
That's
coming home with that image, and that's made the whole 6 hours you've been out there worth it.
Yeah, even going out in the woodlands and not getting a photo, I just feel it does so much good stuff for the mind. Like, this might sound a bit cringe, but I feel like when you go into nature, nothing else in the world matters. It's just your mind feeling so relaxed, and you literally feel like you're on top of the world.
That was quite deep, that.
No, but I completely agree.
Yeah, so do I as
completely
well.
agree.
100%.
There's nothing more peaceful than a woodland full of birdsong.
Absolutely.
Oh god,
Yeah.
that was cringe as well from me.
I'm gonna get that tattooed on my bum.
Please do, because that's probably one of the best things I've ever come out with on any of these episodes.
One minute, I'm gonna quickly whap it in my notes. 1 second. What is it you said again?
There's nothing more peaceful than a woodland full of birdsong. I think that's great. I'm gonna trademark that quote now.
That's going as my Facebook bio.
Put underneath like Dan Knight 2023 or something.
Because when you inevitably get finally hunted down by Lord Voldemort, people's going to want something to to remember you by.
I thought you were going to say when I make it as a professional photographer, but no, of course not.
No, God, no. You even you can't buy yourself to So that
No. While Corey's doing that, I've got another question.
Yeah.
So you've obviously experienced quite a lot of, well, I don't want to say quite a lot, but a few exotic species as well as, species over here in the UK. But
Yeah.
does a specific encounter with a species stick in your mind? So if I was to say, what was your best ever wildlife encounter to date? What would instantly pop up in your mind?
A barn owl. When I first saw a barn owl hunting in the local graveyard, when I guessed that they were there, just seeing how graceful it was flying, that memory sticks with me forever. And then also a tawny owl when a female came in and dropped off a frog into the chick's mouth or beak.
Yeah, I
that was
remember
really
seeing that.
amazing.
That was an incredible photo. So
do you know my first ever memory of a tawny owl?
No.
I met Susie's mum for the first ever time, and we was on our way back from Hull to Wivensey, and one nearly went under the bonnet of her car.
Wow.
That was my first ever sight of a tawny owl.
Yeah, because they spend a lot of time on the road.
Yeah, and the road from, I mean, have you ever been to Hull before?
No.
Yeah, to be fair, you're too posh for this place. Trust me.
You're not missing out, mate. Promise.
No, but the Hull is obviously a big city, but the closest city to Hull is like Leeds, which is like 70 miles away. It's just surrounded by little villages and stuff. So the road from
York's a city.
Is York a city? But York's still 40 miles away.
Yeah.
Is York a city?
I don't
suppose
think it
actually
is.
York City Knights is the rugby team. Is York a city?
If it has a cathedral, it's a city. So yeah, it is because York Cathedral. But that, yeah, like you say, that's still 40 miles away, and in between that, it's just
villages, isn't it? I mean, obviously you've been
countryside and villages. Yeah.
When you came to my zoo before to pick up that lens, obviously driving from Hull through to the villages and stuff like that, there's so much good wildlife around here because Hull. I mean, we're a big-ish city. We're not massive.
Oh yeah.
We're smaller than Leeds and stuff like that, bigger than York. But I mean, just surrounding Hull is just village.
But there's so much diverse habitat that surrounds Hull. You've got coastal habitat, and then you've got the inland, all the countryside.
We've got our salt marshes and stuff as well on the
salt marshes, a lot of agricultural land as well.
Yeah,
Yorkshire just looks incredible for wildlife. Like when I'm older, I'd definitely want to live either Yorkshire or Scotland.
Do you know what's crazy though? I remember reading, and it could well have changed now, but Yorkshire at one point, maybe still is, one of the most wildlife deprived counties in the UK.
Wow, really? I thought that was a place in Scotland for some reason. But
It's probably changed since I last saw the results, but I mean, at one point we were, up there with one of the worst counties for wildlife.
Well, is it like the raptor persecution? One of the reasons?
I would say it's a lot of the agricultural land, because if you look at places like the moors and all the Yorkshire, obviously hundreds of years ago had so many big forests.
Yeah,
and obviously Yorkshire now a lot of it is
agricultural land,
and that's kind of chopped it down.
Even sort of the moorlands have become not agricultural, but more commercialized in what they do. So a lot of moors up here are grouse shooting moors. So yeah, I guess raptor persecution probably plays a part in it. We get, for some reason, I don't know what it's like over your way of Yorkshire, Corey, but I feel around here we get a lot of egg collectors or egg thieves. So my local barn owl site, literally 5 minutes up the road from my house, they've drawn a blank for the past 2 years because the chicks have been stolen out the nest for financial gain.
No, we just get 15-year-olds breaking into my house and stealing motorbikes and mopeds and cars and stuff like that.
Or smashing. We've had people smash and shoot the swans with air rifles, and we smash their eggs.
Last year at our local park, we had some lads breaking with an air rifle. They shot a pregnant wallaby. And there was a female swan that has been nesting in our park for quite a few years, and they stoned her to death.
Yeah,
I don't understand these people. Like, why you do that?
There's nothing that makes There's nothing that makes sense. But yeah, I think farmers around here might get a bad rep as well. For some, not all farmers. Some of them are lovely. Some of them are doing a great work around my local area. But I think there's some that still live very much
Stone
50
Ages.
years. Well, I was going to say Stone Age, but 50 years ago, TB's all but been eradicated in badges in Yorkshire because of the, vaccination program, but they'll still actively go out and kill them. But yeah, I think it's improving slowly. It's certainly
Interesting facts, Dan. I have tuberculosis.
Do you actually?
I do, yeah. I caught tuberculosis 6 years ago, and it sits dormantly inside of me, waiting to seep out.
Well done. I'm proud of you, mate.
I had to take 9 months of antibiotics just to make sure it doesn't become active, and it turned my pee luminous orange.
Wow. Well, thanks. You're the only person that I know that has TB, so well done, mate.
You can't catch it from me, like it's dormant.
That's all right then.
It's knackered my liver up, but apart from that, I'm all good.
But I feel like with farmers, I feel for anyone, they do so much work for wildlife, and usually they know much more about wildlife than wildlife photographers. Because
it's just the odd one or two that brandishes them with all of them with the wrong name.
Because some places in Sussex, they'll leave strips for owls to hunt, and they'll know so much about the wildlife, and people will go, "Oh no, you're just putting crops down. This is no good for any wildlife." When actually they have to make an income, and they also do a lot more for wildlife than we think.
But I think farmers legally now have to contribute to some sort of conservation each year. Whether that's putting up nest boxes, whether that's obviously leaving the crops to grow or having an area for the invertebrates and stuff like that to flourish. They have to by law now do something.
Yeah,
you get these farmers that there was a case down just in Norfolk a couple of months ago of the farmer that shot 5 goshawk chicks.
I saw that. Terrible.
He got a £7,000 fine per bird, I believe.
Okay.
Which, fair enough, like that's a lot of money, 35 grand. So I suppose he got what was coming to him. But yeah, I agree with you and what like most farmers do. And the thing is, if you look at how much land one farmer actually earns, there isn't as many farmers as people think, to be fair. Some farmers earn hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of land. So they've got the room to do a lot more for conservation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just before we start wrapping things up, Brooke, I've got a couple more questions. One of them, and I think I might know the answer, but I asked you what sort of your favourite wildlife encounter was, but do you have a favourite photograph you've ever taken?
Favorite photograph?
He's a tough one. He's a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably still say the tawny owl chick with the frog in its beak.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of my favourites you've taken.
And maybe also the elephant.
Now. How long ago did you post it?
Was it?
Quite a long time ago.
I found it. That's brilliant, that's quality.
Thank you.
You'll have to invite me and Dan down to your woodland.
Definitely.
We'll come down sometime and we'll photograph your tawny owls.
Tawny owl chicks or tawny owl owlets have definitely been sort of one of my target species for God.
Yes,
so long.
There's a woodland near me.
Such cool owls.
There's a woodland near me that produces probably about. It must have 7 or 8 breeding pairs of tawny owl on there. So each year you're talking 20 at least owlets, and I've never managed to see them. I can hear them. Sometimes I've heard them. It sounds like they're 5 feet away from me. Still can't bloody find them. So yeah, they're definitely up there on the hit list.
Tawny owls for chicks let you get so close, and if you're comparing it to barn owls, usually they're a lot harder to photograph. So, and they also stay around for a really long time, so they can be fantastic to observe.
There was some in a graveyard up my way last year, but
okay.
And it must have probably only been about 25, 30 minutes away from me. Another young photographer photographed him, but
Josh.
Yeah. Josh Garbutt.
Yeah.
Yes, and I spent so long trying to search for scouring Google Maps for like any telltale signs of the graveyard, but yeah, I never came across them. But I appreciated him for keeping the location secret. I think and I don't know whether it happens to you, Brooke, but it happens to me sometimes. People jump straight away asking for locations.
Yeah,
It's happened with the foxes that I've been working on recently, but yeah, it can turn such a good location into an oversaturated market. And
Do you know how many people have asked me where we're photographing badgers?
how many?
About when I put that post up on Instagram the other day, I've had about 12 people maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not regardless of whether we're photographing them or not, whether the person wants it to be out there just yet. I'm like, no, I'm not telling
Yeah,
you.
exactly. We briefly touched on it before on another episode, Brooke, but
yeah.
it happened with a long-eared owl location that I sort of knew about. It's turned into like 50, 60 people knowing about it now. So yeah,
Oh, it was ridiculous, wasn't it? I mean,
yeah, it's
even when
nice
we
to keep them
went,
quiet.
even when we went, there was three of us, and then there was that group of old guys that were taking photos of us for some reason. Maybe they were attracted to us, I don't know. And then within like a week, there was about bloody hell, almost 100 people person, and there was a group on Facebook for it.
That's where it all stemmed from, the group on Facebook, and I think it goes back to social media can be so easy to just share locations, can't it?
Yeah, and also like birding sites, like people will post like the tiniest details, literally the grid in which an owl is, and I don't think it's fair on the owls really.
It's not wildlife always has to come first before anything. And it's something we touched on in our episode about ethics. Wildlife should always be at the forefront of everyone's mind, whether or not you're a bird watcher or a wildlife photographer, or just somebody
Yeah.
that likes to be out in wildlife or out in nature, sorry. Always has to be the forefront.
Yeah.
So just before
I went real quiet there. I
Yeah.
I posted a comment on a rugby league banter page, and a Hull FC fans taken offence to that and started inboxing me a lot of rubbish.
Oh heck. Oh dear.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just in my own world there listening. Sorry, Dan, carry on.
It's all right. All I was going to say is just before we start to wrap things up, I have a question that I ask to every single guest.
Okay.
I like to finish off every episode with a deep, meaningful question. Now, you did go a little bit deep earlier, but the question I ask is sort of. I always find it hard to word, but for you, it'll be easy. So, what does wildlife photography? What does being out in nature? Combine that with photography. What does that mean to you as a person?
Well, I'd say when I go out in nature, I feel the happiest I can ever be. And I think that mental health thing is really important for me. But also, when you're working after an image and you're trying weeks to get the shot, there is such a big reward when you finally get it. And I think that just feels so good inside. It's like nature gives you a fragment of its beauty. So I think that can really be very special. But also, like when I'm just out in the woods, I have no worries, and I think that's just the best feeling I can ever have. And I think that's sort of the addiction, and then photography on top of that just makes it more special, like the cherry on top of the cake.
That's a very cool way of putting it. Yeah, I think that's one thing that'll stick with you until you're an adult as well. Because trust me, when you become an adult, you get a lot of stress, you get a lot of worries, a lot of things that kind of. You think GCSEs are tough, bloody hell, you wait until council. I got my council tax letter yesterday, and it was bloody expensive. Yeah. But even like it, don't matter how much you pay in bills, if you go out with your camera and stuff like that, it does cushion it all, and puts that little cloud above your head and allows you to forget about it.
Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely. Well, I think that's why so many people enjoy it.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's nice. It's almost like a little escape from reality, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You put all your thoughts and all your focus into, getting that, finding the subject, getting the photo, a field craft, all of that. That every sort of little niggling thought in your head just vanishes.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think that wraps us up pretty nicely. So yeah, massive thanks, Brooke, for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. I said last episode, I insulted a few of our previous guests by calling them old. So it's always nice to get a younger photographer on.
Thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah,
massive thanks for coming on. Massive thanks.
it's
Thank
good
you.
to
I
see.
appreciate
It's
that.
good to know that the hobby's in good hands in the future as well. When me and Dan
Yes.
inevitably grow old and get bored of it.
Yeah, it's a nice community, and we say this all the time
Don't
about.
push it.
Well, I don't. We do say, I think all of us a bit like, oh, this person's coming to my location and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, for more people that are interested into nature, it can only be good. If you're thinking about it from a wider aspect, that's sort of my opinion.
I just really want to quickly ask you a question before you leave. Do you have obviously going to your private school and stuff like that? I'm sure you'll get into probably one of the best universities. Are you planning on going to university?
No, I'm pretty dyslexic, so I'm really not very academic at all.
I'm an idiot, and I've managed to do uni on more than one occasion. If I can do it, you can do it. Trust me. I would say this is my advice: go to uni and study anything, because it doesn't really matter what you study. A lot of places, as long as you've got a degree. I mean, some people go out and still study. I don't know, travel and tourism and criminology and stuff like that. They're not real degrees. Or childhood development and stuff, like things that don't really matter. So that's what my partner studies. I've just seen if she overheard me. She's in her own world. It doesn't even matter. But yeah,
you're safe.
if you did go to uni, what would you study?
Probably conservation.
So I did zoology to start off with, and I regret doing it. So I'm going back to uni in September to study wildlife and conservation management. I wish I had done that to start off with. So probably good idea. Good idea. That was all I wanted to know. Your education plans. Well,
I've got one more question. I normally end with the last question, Brooke, but I've got another one.
Yeah.
Are you so we're quite early? I'd say we're quite early into 2023. Is there any sort of goals that you're working towards? Any exciting projects you've got sort of in the pipeline that you can talk about? Obviously, don't mention anything that's secret. But
no, I won't. Well, goshawks, that's one I've been working on for a while, and it's been a pretty hard journey so far, but hopefully we'll get there. And then there's also the Shetland Islands, that's when I want to get a nice portfolio of puffins. And my aim really is to try win a photo competition. I feel because it gives you publicity as well. It's a bit more of a reward. It's a nice thing to have.
I will say, I don't want me to take any kind of light away from you from this. It is nice to have a bit of publicity. Like I've come second, third in a few competitions and won a few little things here and there. It is nice, but I would say don't let that be what's the word I'm thinking of? Dan, can you fill in for me? You know what I'm thinking? Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you're trying to say, but I'm more on Brooke's side on this. I think
really,
I entering competitions is great, and I think what it does is it pushes you as a photographer. I don't know if you feel the same way, Brooke, but I certainly when I look at the likes of, well, let's use British Wildlife Photography Awards for example. They've literally, the winners have just been announced. I think it was it might have even been this week. I think when you look at the caliber of images that are winning and are certainly coming, highly commended, I think it pushes you as a photographer to do better than maybe what you're currently doing. Push you out of your comfort zone and work on creating different images.
I've seen a few of do you remember, was it the BBC Wildlife Photo of the Year was was it a stage shot of a mouse in a crisp? I don't know, I can't remember. And I don't know, it kind of put me off a little bit, but I'm sour.
I think I don't know if it was was it the Country File, the one of the harvest mice in the apple, the harvest mouse.
That was it, yeah. And it was a staged up shot, and I'm thinking, but that's not wild. Obviously, a lot of competitions have rules on no commercial hides. It all has to be wild, which I fully agree with. And I mean, oh god, if I won BBC Wildlife Photographer of the Year, I would be absolutely buzzing. But
the BBC Country File one's no real rules as long as it's kind of done ethically and you're not.
That's one that
professional.
I came runner up in that one. Just before or just after COVID with a photo of a carpenter bee. What I expecting to. When I got my image put up in a gallery for, I think it's still there now actually, and that was pretty cool. But I don't know, I just don't like competitions. I don't like run the way I do it, just because I know that there's always like a hierarchy. It's always the same photographers winning. It's always these photographers that have got partnerships with Cerny and the Nachi and stuff like that, and you think you're never really going to stand a chance. But
I
suppose
don't
I'm
know.
sour. I'm sour when it comes to that sort of stuff.
I don't know. I think the sort of caliber of images that have also won the British Wildlife Photography Awards this year have been not, I wouldn't say completely unachievable. And I don't know the people who've won personally. I know a couple of them that have, oh no, I tell a lie. I know Neil McIntyre who won, I think it was Best Environmental Shot or something.
Is that of the fox?
No, it was it might not have been Best Environmental. It might have, I can't remember the category now. It was the stag on the edge of the loch. He'd like silhouetted it with the mountain in the background.
That was one of the best images I've ever seen. Amazing.
If you get a chance, and I'm not plugging in by any means, but check out Neil's portfolio on Instagram. The images that he's got are absolutely incredible. And but I just going back to what you said, Coy, I don't think many of them had partnerships with companies and stuff. I know Tom Robinson got a shot of his bitten in there, which was absolutely
fantastic. That was a brilliant shot. To be fair,
I love the name, the title of which he gave the image as well.
Is it Shy twice shy?
Twice shy. So do you get the reference?
No.
Wham's Last Christmas, once bitten, twice shy.
I don't like Christmas songs.
Right, boring. Right, fair enough. Well, there you go. Everybody else listening, that's why he called it that.
Okay.
Well, that was an interesting way to end things. I'm sure it's a topic we can chat about all night.
Absolutely.
But no, thank you very much for coming on and chatting to us. It's very interesting. What we'll do is when we plan Series 3 for later on in the year, we'll get you to come back on after you've done a few trips and we'll chat about
that. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Cool. Well, if you hang around in the background for just a couple of minutes while me and Dan wrap up, and then we'll check in with you just before we finish for the night.
Awesome. Thank you.
Smashing. Well, mate, that was lovely.
Yeah, it was a really nice chat. It was something different, wasn't it?
It's nice. It's always nice to get. It's always nice to. Always nice. What am I trying to say? It's always nice and refreshing to get someone who's sort of quite young in the industry on.
Yeah, and it's good to see that they're doing well, because obviously when we was younger, people were a lot different with younger photographers, which wasn't particularly great for us, but it's good that people. It's good, obviously when you ask that question about negativity, it was good to hear that it doesn't actually receive that much.
Absolutely, it's good. It's good to see that.
A lot of older blokes will see a young photographer, think, "Here we go, fresh meat. Let me rip into this guy and see if I can put him off the hobby already."
And I know for a fact it has happened to some people, but yeah, it was really nice to see that Brooke's not experienced that.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. Obviously we're what in our mid late 20s, and we still receive that. So yeah. No, yeah, very nice guy. Looking forward to seeing some of the stuff that he produces in the future.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get him back on as well after he's.
We'll have to get him up to do some photography with us, I reckon.
We'll have to give him a Yorkshire tour.
Give him a Yorkshire tour. Show him why he shouldn't move up to Yorkshire.
Here are all the top 5 places you don't want to move to.
Yeah. Just before we finish, I think it's my turn to choose.
We'll wait for photo of the week. I just want to give a shout out to all the people that have donated on our
all my friends and family. I see none of yours, Al.
No, friend of mine, Ash, he's donated.
Yeah, Ash. I was speaking to Ash this morning.
Yeah, lovely bloke. Yeah, he donated. It's just nice. It's just nice to see so many people. Well, not so many people, but the amount that people are willing to part with, especially in current climate and the times at the moment. It's really nice to see. Just fingers crossed we get the weather, mate.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
How's your training going?
I did an 8-mile walk before yesterday, and I've torn my hamstring.
Good start.
So yeah, it's doing all right. But no, I'll be chucking the vape this weekend at last. I've just bought a home kind of mini gym set of weights and stuff like that, just so I can get some upper body core strength kind of built up. Because that's one thing I always had a lot of, was my upper body core strength, and I've kind of lost that over the past couple of weeks. So it's past couple of months. So I'm gonna be doing a bit like that. But yeah, not too bad.
So upon recording this, it's the Friday the 17th, and on Sunday the 19th, it'll be 6 weeks until the big day. I am I right in thinking? Well, I'm right in thinking this is going out sort of week commencing the 27th.
Yes, we've got Richards coming out on Wednesday. Well, you'll already see it, but next Wednesday, Wednesday 24th, 22nd, and then this one will come out.
Yes.
Yeah, just
so
afterwards.
the week this comes out.
Oh no, we filmed one the other day, didn't we?
Yes. Well, roughly, it'll be about 4 weeks by the time this comes out before the big day. Which is terrifying to think, but. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it because I know I get to bring my camera with me and do some landscape photography while we're doing it. I'm not looking forward to the fact that I'm going to be dead. But
it'll be tough. 24.2 miles is no walk in the park by any stretch, but
it's a walk through the peak. Actually,
it is a walk through the peaks, and it's actually training for me as well because I've signed up with a few work colleagues to do what's known as the Welsh 3000.
What's that?
The Welsh 3000 is 24.2 miles over 15 peaks.
Mental. I mean, we're going to do Scaffold Pike, but I suppose Scaffold Pike compared to Three Peaks is
nothing. It literally is a walk in the park.
But yeah, if you haven't done it, please do. Peasants.
Yeah. We're sharing it frequently, so yeah, you'll see it pop up at some point between now and then.
You need to share it if you.
Yeah, I know. I do need to share it. Although I signed up to get my free T-shirt. So
did you? All right, good effort.
Okay.
We talk about this too much. If people want to donate, they can. If they do, I'm at a point now where I think we're raising an okay amount of money to be happy with. So I'm
absolutely.
More money the better, but still. Just real quickly, photo of the week. There's this photo of this frog with a little mice, baby woodlouse on the top of its eye. I think you chose this one.
No, I've not chosen that one. No,
that's my photo of the week. It's just brilliant, real good photo. So yeah.
Could you shout out who that's by as well, please?
Oh yeah, sorry, that's from Max Wildlife Photo. Sorry, Max.
Sorry, Max. I saved you there, mate.
You did, yeah. Fantastic photo. Cheers, Max.
Smashing. Well, I think that wraps us up very nicely, mate.
It does. I'm going to go watch the rest of the rugby now.
Very nice. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I might have.
I know what you're going to do. I'm not going to announce it on the podcast.
Have another Guinness. I've had my first Guinness in 10 years. But my taste buds have changed. I'm now an old man. But yeah, thanks very much for listening, guys. It's been the Wild Talk podcast with me, Corey, and our guest. Me, Corey? Jesus, I'm not good at outros, am I?
Thank you very much for listening. It's been the Wild Talk
Corey.
podcast with Dan Knight and Corey Hunter-Mitchell with our guest, Brooke Haycock. Is that better?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Anyway, until next time, guys. Catch you all in a bit. You're not saying bye. All right. See you guys. Bye. Bye.